Hello and greetings, everyone. It's Mr. Tillberry here, and I just saw The Last Jedi. I got to see it at 7:30 on a Thursday night, the day before it opens, and I gotta tell you about it. Now, the most important thing here is that this video is spoiler-free. However, that being said, while I won't be going into any plot details or giving anything away per se, just hearing basic impressions can kind of ruin the experience for you. Being something of a hardcore fan myself, I really wanted to go in fresh. I didn't look at any of the advanced reviews. I didn't look at the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't look at any of that. I just walked in fresh and experienced what the movie had to offer. And honestly, right off the bat, I'll tell you that I recommend that. That was good. So yeah, don't worry about reviews. If you're a Star Wars fan, just go and experience it, okay? And if you're still around, here's my impressions on Star Wars Episode 8. I mean, it was good. It's a good movie. Definitely. That's not the problem. This was kind of a hard movie to process. Just a lot happens in it. I can't really go into details, of course, because I just promised I wouldn't give you any spoilers, but I thought it was very, very emotional. It was very heavy. It had a lot of really good action scenes. It was super well directed. I thought the directing and the editing and the pacing was a little better than The Force Awakens. Not as a slight to J.J. Abrams. He's an extremely talented man. But personally, I think I just liked Rian Johnson's style a little bit better. The elephant in the room, honestly, when it comes to reviewing The Last Jedi and the reputation that the sequel trilogy is starting to get, is this idea of how The Force Awakens seemed to copy way too much from episode 4. So the big burning question, the elephant in the room for episode 8 is how much did it take from other Star Warses? And I have good news and I have bad news. It kind of starts off with a few call outs to things that we've seen in episode 5. But it doesn't stick with it long. It really moves into its own original territory pretty fast. And even though throughout the movie, just peppered throughout the movie, there's definitely moments where you could see the original trilogy kind of shining just a little bit, a little call out here, a little call out here. But it's nothing more than what the prequels did. So I didn't think it was that bad. I think with The Force Awakens, they literally took the entire plot of episode 4 and just kind of added to it. And kind of that was most of the movie. With episode 8, even though there are definitely call-outs and references to the plots of past Star Wars movies, it does move at a really brisk pace, and it's all, I think, very necessary. That's honestly how I would describe most of the movie. It's very necessary. It's a very necessary experience for everything moving forward. And speaking of The Force Awakens, the great thing about it, I think, was that even though it did have a lot of callbacks to Episode 4, it was a very, very exciting movie. It really helped and reinvigorate people and get really excited about Star Wars again. And Episode 8 is a great sequel for that reason. Now, what's amazing about Episode 5, yes, everyone always praises Empire Strikes Back as the de facto best Star Wars movie, but it's also a really good sequel and movie in and of itself, because it takes everything that its predecessor made and then builds on top of it very expertly, all while telling a very rich narrative with adding a ton of details that weren't there before. And if I had to say that episode 8 copied episode 5 in that regard, sure. But there's nothing wrong with that. Episode 8 is very, very dedicated to building and continuing and moving forward with the series, I think, anyway. If I say more, then I will get in the spoiler town. But again, like I said, this is just the kind of thing that you really need to just go and see and experience. I'm here to tell you that the movie is, I think, really good. I think the early press buzz and the good reviews are very well deserved, but that's ultimately my opinion. I am going to hold off on giving it a numerical rating because as a Star Wars fan, I want to give it like, 11 out of 10 and just start gushing about how amazing and awesome it is. But I also secretly kind of want to bitch about how the fact that it was really long. It's like 2.5 hours, and the ending, it starts getting a little bit of ending fatigue just because there's so much. And when you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, you just can't get enough of it. Every single scene had weight and importance to it, and it was all so awesome and exciting. But as a moviegoer, I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my god, just scene after scene after scene after scene. It was nuts, but good and awesome. Another thing I'd like to point out is that this movie continued what J.J. Abrams set out to do with returning Star Wars to the basics of using physical props. It's a small thing, some people don't really mind the CGI, some people care. And yeah, this movie, you can tell, definitely used some extremely state-of-the-art CGI, but it also really didn't forget its roots in showing things that are very physical, like something that you could reach out and touch. And, you might look at that and say it's a little hokey, or maybe it's a little outdated, but I don't know, there's something about that look, that like weird plastic model look, that's just really satisfying to to look at, because it's just so, you just don't see it anymore. There's so few people that are dedicated to actual physical effects that it's really cool seeing a big budget movie actually try to do it. I'm trying to think of other things to say. Like, what else can I possibly say that isn't a spoiler? Acting's good. The sound mixing was good. It was really good. The sound mixing was awesome. But in summary, I believe I've said pretty much everything that I can. To put it all together, I think this was a important, necessary, exciting, awesome, dramatic movie. And it really continues the story in very great ways. It takes everything that The Force Awakens did and continues to build on it. And I think those are the most important things to be relieved about going into the movie without knowing anything absolutely direct. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on the rest. I'm probably going to post another video that actually does have spoilers, but for now, go see the movie. It's really, really good. It's really, really exciting. I think you're going to love it, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I really hope you enjoy the movie, because I sure as hell did.